one of the very senior people from Amazon was chatting with me. I said, you people are doing all these new things in AI, etc., etc. What's your problem? Our single biggest problem is, how do we ensure that the young people who are coming up are capable of understanding all of this? And I said, I'm going there in the afternoon and I'll ask that question too. So we'll find an answer for you. So, we have about an hour, and unlike the previous session where they didn't have, resources, I have a wealth of resources to start with. So what I'm going to do is to try and break this up into roughly 3 to 4 segments. I first want to start by asking ourselves, we are talking about unicorns, but what is actually happening? Is anything happening? Is anybody doing anything about it? Then we'll go to the most important core part, which is the education, and how can we change the education, what are some of the things. But having youth, having education, is not enough. There's an enormous support ecosystem that is required, and we also have some excellent technology and capability talent here, so we'll use that. So that's how we'll start. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start with Vamsi, who's come all the way from the US, and ask him that as a parent, how do you get kids involved into making sure that they actually follow? At one time, all that kids did was, how do I get into Harvard, and therefore how do I do Bharatanatyam and things like that. What do we do now?
Basically, I thought of doing the other way around, but he's actually my son. Let me give a quick intro of him and then I'll talk. So back in 2019, I think 2018, he came to me and he said that he wants to start his own initiative and he wants to be a founder for his own initiative. I asked him, I think he's like 9 years old at that time. So I asked him, why did you ask me that question? So he saw my name as a founder for my own initiative and he asked me that question. So I told him that you are too young to actually think about all this, and probably will revisit this idea when you are like 15, 16 or something. So he was persistent. He's continuously asking me the same question. He's pushing me. One day he came to me and he asked me, what are you doing with your used batteries? Used batteries. We all get used batteries, right? So I told him that I'm just throwing in the trash. He showed me an article where in California, there was one lithium-ion battery caused a big damage and the whole recycling plant got burnt. So he showed me that one battery is causing this big issue, and since you are throwing your used batteries in the trash, it is not good actually. So I told him that very good initiative that you are actually thinking. So before even doing that, I asked him to actually talk to few of his friends, and I also took about 20 different friends of mine. So he spoke to all of them. Everyone said that they are not doing anything. So I ended up saying that you can go ahead and you can start, and now tell me what you want me, where do you want me to help? So he said that I want a quick flyer where he can actually go and educate people. He started that way, and for the past 5 years, he now have a team of 850 kids in US. All these kids are actually spreading awareness in their local schools, collecting the batteries. And over the past 5 years, they have recycled over 550,000, which is 5.5 lakhs used batteries. And they have educated over 38 million people about the importance of used batteries. So it became a big initiative. The other kid, I have my younger one as well. By seeing him, she was like 9 years old. End of last year, she came to me and said that, Dad, you are only helping Nihal, but you are not doing anything to me. So I said, I'll definitely help you. Why would I not help you? But you tell me, what do you want to do? So she said that, okay, let me think and let me come back to you. And within 2 days, she came to me and she asked another question. She said that whenever you are going for a shower, do you immediately start taking shower, or are you waiting for 1 to 2 minutes for the hot water to come? So I told, definitely I'll wait for 1 to 2 minutes for the hot water to come, because I don't want to, especially in US, every single person will actually wait for that hot water, 1 to 2 minutes. So she said that, she showed me the stats, that there are millions and millions of people in the world who don't have access to water, and we are actually wasting that 20,000 gallons of water just for nothing, just for waiting for hot water. I immediately got connected again. So I said, okay, what is the solution? So basically she said that probably we have to have an instant water heater in the shower where the water will actually become instantly hot. I initially liked the idea, and we have actually asked a few of the companies here in India to actually develop a prototype. They came up with the prototype as well, but then again I was hesitant because obviously you are linking electricity with water. So I was a little hesitant, and I said that probably this will not work out. And then I actually helped her research more, and we found a thing called recirculation pump. So what that recirculation pump do is it will actually extract the hot, the cold water when the water in the hot water when the water in the hot pipe. There are two types of pipes in your house: hot water pipe and cold water pipe. So when the water in the hot water pipe becomes cold, it will actually extract the water. So I told her that this is definitely something doable, and we searched for the cost. So it is costing about $250. That's it. And when you are spending $1 million and $2 million for a house in US, $250 is nothing. Including installation, probably it will cost $500. So now she has a team of 40 kids within a span of 9 months. And then she created a petition asking the government to make recirculation pumps mandatory across all the households. Because like you are getting tax credits when you are buying electric vehicles, and also like you are getting tax credits when you are installing solar panels, she's requesting the government to give the tax credit when someone installs a recirculation pump. So basically, what the points that I thought of telling is, as a parent, what I normally do is I ask the kids to actually go out and actually observe. You have to observe, and you have to come back to me that there is a problem in your school, there is a problem in your house, there is a problem in the world, or something like that. But at the same time, I'll also tell them that they have to come up with a solution, because everyone can come up with problems. So I'll always tell both of them to actually observe outside, come up with the problems, and then come up with the solutions as well. That way, I'll actually help you out in case if that solution is workable, or if you need to do anything, and all that kind of a thing. So all I'm trying to say today is, make sure that the kids are actually going out there and watching, and then whenever someone says something to you, when your kid says, irrespective of the age, that is exactly why the point I heard from one of the public motivational speakers is, irrespective of the age, if your kid wants to do something, try to encourage them rather than discouraging them. I initially discouraged, but later on I realized, and then I started encouraging them, and now I see the the achievements that they have actually done as well. So basically, this is what I am telling. You have to ask the kids to actually come up with the problems. And like I said, both Nihal and Nitya have observed the problems out there, and then they came up with the solutions as well. So, and then the second thing is, provide them access to resources and knowledge. Like basically, you have to show them good books, give them good mentorship, show them good network. Like last time when I was in Hyderabad, Nihal came to Jay Garu, and he is the one who actually encouraged him a lot, and he is the one who asked me to come and participate in this panel as well. So that I'm telling you, the reason why I'm saying this is, all the young kids have to participate in such kind of a network and such kind of an event. Even though they don't do anything, they learn so much.
We look outside of ourselves and say somebody else must do, government must do, JA must start ISF, etc., etc. But each one of us has a responsibility, and I think that is where the point that I wanted to start, that if we want the next generation to be the kind of people we want them to be, each one of us is responsible for making it. So now that's fine, you live in the US, all of us come from fairly good backgrounds and therefore have access. What about children who don't have that access? So even there are people like Anil who do some amazing work. There is another, okay, why don't you, Anil, I'll let you take over and tell us what work you are doing.
Thank you so much, sir, and namaste everyone. So let me break the ice. So for me, ice is intent, content and environment. So let me take you through this journey of young thinker. And we have these very good formulas for everything, which we teach to students and also to our team. So ICE is basically intent. If we want our students to be entrepreneurs, is that the intent of our schools? Is that the intent of our parents? And fundamentally, what is education and why is education? What we have made in education is basically mere literacy rather than education. If you are a PhD or anything like that, You are literate, yes, but are you educated? Is the question. When I talk about intent, I talk about creating the mindset in students. Do our students have the right mindset? Intent is also focused on how do we do that? How do we create that intent? If students can believe, then they can do it. So creating role models is very important. When we see in villages, a lot of people told कि यार role model अनिल बनाओगे कैसे? And I always focus on unthinkable. भाई क्यों नहीं बना सकते हैं? When we talk about city kids, we talk about entrepreneurship. When we talk about village, we talk about why they can't be entrepreneurs, why only livelihoods. So when I started in 2015, I started from an island village in Odisha. And basically, when I was a kid, I have to go to Bhopal. My father was in CRPF. I got good education. But when I came back to my village, I saw these kind of challenges there. And at that moment, I told कि यार कुछ तो करना है यहाँ पे. When I was in college, we made Asia's first student rocket. 3 बार fail हो गए. Nobody wanted to invest. Nobody wanted to give funds. I went to the VC, told we want to make a rocket. He asked, हमारे college में we don't have aeronautical branch. From which branch you are? Are you from mechanical, electrical, electronics, सारे guesses हो गए. Can you tell me my branch? Civil. And he started laughing like anything. I told कि यार engineering is mere common sense and why can't we do it? 3 failure launches. Went to everyone, just like these shameless guys. Went to everyone. Emailed to a lot of LinkedIn people. भाई नासा से हो, इसरो से है. Who wants to help us? वो बोला कि आपके पास तो लैब नहीं है, क्या है? We went to a garage. We built it there. 3 failures के बाद fourth one was a success. We finally launched it. Limca Book of World Record में we got the name. So when people told me कि you are not from IIT, you are not from NIT, तुम लोग लगे यार किसी कॉलेज से तो हैं, गवर्नमेंट कॉलेज से हैं उड़ीसा के, कर तो सकते हैं यार, कुछ तो हैं. And at that point of time, then I believe कि यार if we can't do it, if we can do it, then why can't students in these villages can do it? Went to my village with a tin shed, some scholarship, started with 3 students and build over it. Eventually what happened in 2021, we told कि why can't students, ऐसा क्या Olympics में, we have for sports, we have Olympics. For students, those who can build something, जो innovation में, उनके लिए वैसा क्या है? सबसे बड़ा चीज़ क्या है? We told कि NASA does something which is known as NASA Rover Challenge, where they build this rover. और इंडिया में से अंडर 19 टीम में कोई, there is no representation there. Can we build a rover? This was the second unthinkable. Then people laughed. अरे यार तुम गांव के बच्चों को लेके जाओगे, कहाँ से जाएंगे? They can't do it. क्यों नहीं कर सकते? Selected 10 students. One of them is Rishi. Rishi is here. Rishi, can you just raise your hand? जो बच्चा वहाँ पे मड हाउस में रहता था, वो भी गया है वहाँ पे. They were a part of that team. That was unthinkable because at that point of time हमारे पास भी laboratories. We don't have laboratories. We got some funding. We got machines from Finland. वहाँ पे setup किया. Within 1 year, the students went through the CAD designing, ideation, prototype किया, build the rover, took it to NASA. आप यकीन नहीं करेंगे, हम सिर्फ participate नहीं करने गए थे वहाँ पे. जीत के आए हैं. World rank 3. So, the thing that I was talking about intent, ये role models create हो गए. Now, if you go to these villages, the students are like, वो तो कर रहा था, मैं तो उसके घर पे गया था, वो भी तो मड हाउस में रहता है, वो तो मेरे जैसे झोपड़ी पट्टी में रहता है, तो मैं क्यों नहीं कर सकता? That is where we started. Second, जब मैं बात करता हूँ कंटेंट का, कंटेंट में first thing is, if you have read the stories, our stories are very biased. Once there lived a poor farmer in a village. What is the meaning of that? If you are poor, you are a farmer. And if you are a farmer, you are poor and you are in a village, और तो village में रहोगे मतलब poor हो और farmer हो आप. तो US वाला जो farmer है, वो कहाँ रहता है भाई? And that narration is something we have to change. So change the narration is very important in our books. नहीं तो everyone in the village will go out, that's in the mindset, no one will stay. Everyone will go to US. In content, we need to have the relatable content. A lot of people told me that science is very costly. Science is not very costly. With the right intent, we can create the right content. We have a vehicle here. I invite you to come there and see with just ₹1, what kind of experiment you can teach to students. ₹1 ka product, you can give it to everyone. How do we provide the right content to student? And third one is environment. Ice, I was talking about breaking the ice. IC ho gaya, this is E, environment. The environment mein sabse pehla cheez is, when you go to schools, I've seen schools everywhere in India, government schools if you go, there are students, those who sit in verandas. We don't have the right infrastructure. Jab tak infrastructure acha nahi hoga, they don't feel good, they won't do good. We need to create that infrastructure. In India, 95% of the school don't have STEM labs. 95%. 129 million students don't have the access to STEM labs. And then we talk about entrepreneurship. Sapna kahan dekhega wo? What they see, they do. And what they do, they become. तो ये 129 million बच्चों के पास पहुंचेंगे कैसे? We have created a vehicle which is known as TOW, Tinker on Wheels. So what it does is, instead of having a lab in one school, this lab goes to every school. It's a ₹250 model. For teaching every student, we just have to invest around ₹250. And each vehicle can impact around 10,000 students every year. I'm always bold in what I speak. Next, by 2026, my aim is to impact 1 million students, that is 10 lakh students. If 1% student become innovators, that is 10,000 students. Or 0.1% matlab 1,000 bade innovators in next 10 years would be from Young Tinker Foundation. That is what I dream of. And I would like to thank Jay Chaudhary sir. Jay sir he called me 5 days before, told Anil, wo jo event was in Andhra Pradesh, that we want to do it here. Can you bring the TOW vehicle to us? So I was like, acha theek hai, we'll bring from Bhubaneswar. What do we do? That night I thought I'll go to Hyderabad. Next morning, sir, we bought a vehicle. 4 days I was here. In 4 days, ne bola ki yaar ye to naya unthinkable hai. That's a challenge. We have to do it. We partnered with ISF, built that vehicle here. The vehicle is live now here. So thank you so much, everyone. So jo ICE ka jo pedagogy maine bola, we have created very good content where we have this conceptual learning of science, conceptual learning of STEM. Then there is a tinker phase, maker phase, innovator phase, and an entrepreneur phase. So Unicorns, there are a lot of students there, also from Young Tinker Foundation. Would love if you can go there and talk to students. We have 2 centers in Hyderabad. One is in Touch Orphanage in Mehboob Nagar, where students have built their startup. We basically fund them with a seed grant of ₹1,000, and we ask them to build a business around it. You can go and see their products. Today, someone gave them the currency of Kuwait, brought bags, so they were showing me, sir, maine aaj itna kama liya hai. So, businesses jo hai, if you want to make them entrepreneur, don't teach them entrepreneurship. Ask them to build businesses. If you want to teach them problem solving, give them a problem. They will find out a solution for it. Rishi was here. I invited him because he created AI solution to predict pest attack. It actually happens. So he was from Jagatsinghpur district in Bhubaneswar, in Odisha, and he saw pest attack in his village, and because of which he saw suicides. So his problem statement was, isko solve karna hai. He created AI solution which predicts 10 days before it actually happens. He was invited by the Intel CEO Pat Gelsinger, went there, got funded for his startup, and he was like, sir, US chala gaya main. So what I am trying to say is, 2017 में भी मैं ये चीज़ आपको बोल रहा था, आप बोलते पागल है. आज भी आप बोल सकते हैं मैं पागल हूँ. But yes, I was able to build more pagals like me. Thank you so much, everyone.
This is where we wanted to start, that we are not talking theory. We are talking of what is actually happening on the ground. You know, you read the newspapers, you get depressed with the negativity. When you meet real people, that's when you know the enormous power of optimism in our youth today. So what I'm going to do now is to shift from there to how do we make that happen in our entire education system. I'll start with you, Renuji, then go to you, Shashiji, and then to...
Good evening. I have done considerable work in terms of policy. And it's a very dry subject, especially education policy is not a child's play, and it has been a long journey for me. With this NEP, that what we have today, it's 2017 onwards, we started engaging with the policy panel, right from Smriti Irani time. We've done something very unique. And today we are looking at a product called Reading Comprehension Assessment. I'm sure all of you are familiar reading in the newspapers. 10th class child cannot read third class text. This is something, it was something that I thought we should be able to solve it. The way I looked at it is, if we start early, that is a right start to school, and move it up. And moving up in the process is, our work first started with Anganwadis. There was the seed for how can we teach 2 languages. In fact, we taught only 1 language, and I observed the children were doing 2 languages. So the today's product that we're going to be, when we are launching, I see English, Telugu, Hindi, we teach are equal, on an equal footing. So that is the kind of a goal that we have, and also work towards 100% literacy in this country. That is one major initiative that we have undertaken. The other one is structured assessment for learning has come. From next year onwards, government is very keen on ensuring that 5th class and 8th class students meet certain targets. So therefore, we don't have to listen to problems earlier saying that, 3rd class competency is not there in the 10th class. Now, having this 3rd, 5th, 8th, we have never done this before. The school heads, we are not used to engaging at such young age. Above all this, there is another kicker the government threw, saying that we want each child to perform 60 words per minute with understanding. And we have worked and showed our work way back when Anita Kaul was in the seat. And at that time, they have adopted, Government of India has adopted certain inputs from both Norway and Singapore. Our children start school at 6. That's when I have written to her saying that what standard that you have applied doesn't apply in India because you'll have litigation. Because the child should be 9 plus to have the literacy standard the Government of India has developed. But for the first time in this country's history, something good and positive is happening. We have a good policy, and there's a lot of scope for work around here. See, the 3rd class, 5th class, 8th class, when we start implementing that, you will see a crop of students who are far more competent. And And this competency will take India forward towards totally developed India. See, this is a long-term goal for the country. So you can't achieve certain things overnight. And 100% literacy in the country should be made possible. Not necessarily teach English, but also teach Telugu and Hindi with an equal rigor and relevance. Because both the languages have, makes the child more resilient. Okay, next slide, please. And there's one thing that I advocate strongly is using unseen text to teach and assess reading. Seen text is absolutely false, and I speak against it. You know, this is something that is not a reading assessment and reporting, that you have shortchanged the child. You have to put unseen text, and the child should navigate it and produce the result. Then we can actually support the child to go to the level of perfection and proficiency the child can achieve. Last 3 years, we have seen the scores, especially in 9 and 10, 11 and 12, have fallen down, especially in science and maths. This is because case-based questions were introduced, and reasoning assertion questions are introduced. Now, I relate very much to what the parent perspective and the young thinker's perspective, because these case-based questions and reasoning assertion questions are very new in the system. So therefore, teachers don't know how to teach, students don't know how to really answer these kind of questions. And this is a major challenge in the school systems in the CBSE, and I'm sure this is similar. State boards have not come this far on case-based questions and reasoning assertion questions, sir. And as long as we don't teach kids these kind of things, it will be difficult.
I request all the panelists to restrict your discussion around how do we make kids to think like an entrepreneur, act like an entrepreneur, and become an entrepreneur. Let's not get into any educational reforms. That's a much bigger subject. So this is Unicorns is only about the entrepreneurship, because we have the other all the chief guests and other people are likely to come. So I request all of you to restrict to that area, not to the educational reforms, NEP and all that, because that's not the intended subject for this panel. Thank you.
Basically, there are a lot of products that are being built, and now we need a lot of products that are aligned to implementation to improve quality and efficiency. And this, the context of investments flowing in to just about anything will not work anymore, because the enabling policy is pinpointing how to improve quality and report rather than frivolous expenditure in terms of both time, effort, and budget and resources of all stakeholders, sir. So this is where the kicker is. The kicker lies in coming up with absolutely precision-driven products to deliver right kind of inputs to young people and the stakeholders of education.
Hello, everyone. So what I want to say actually kind of piggybacks on what Anil said and what Vamsi said. So my background is education, and from US and India. So I've been working now in India. And currently I'm working on creating curriculum. So I'm into content, and I'm working on creating curriculum for grades K to 10 in AI/ML, nanotechnology, genetic engineering, coding, robotics, biomimicry, programming, all of these things that are coming up now and everybody wants to know about it. So when I was asked to do that, my first question to myself philosophically was, what do kids actually need? Do they need this? And at what age do they need this? And how should they be learning this? So I've been like trying to create a curriculum where it is more student run, where I'm empowering the student to actually run the curriculum by themselves, and the teacher is being a facilitator who will help the students. But before that, as I was writing that, I realized there's something that is far more important than that, which is life skills. I want to make sure that the students can dream. Can they be given that motivation and that power to think that, yes, I can do this. I can be, one of these startup people who made and sold a 100 million company. Can I do that? I want them to have that power, to have that dream. So for that, I feel like they need to have that life skills training to be able to think, to be able to critical solve, to be able to problem solve. When we talked about going out and learning, I was thinking about biomimicry. Can we learn from nature? Can we go out and see what problems are there and what can be solved from that? So that is what I have been trying to create. That's the curriculum that I am interested in creating, and that's currently what I'm working on. So creating this life skills curriculum as well as the STEAM journey, we're calling it the STEAM, go hand in hand with each other. Let's give the kids all the tools to be able to use the STEAM journey. So that is like my bridge to both, and which I feel like the juniors and what I could bring to Junicon, that I think is the most important, like having this bridge in the classrooms.
I think I'll take you back to a little history of entrepreneurial education in India. This I was reading while I was reading a research journal by a professor from University of Newcastle. He wrote a book called The Beautiful Tree. Beautiful trees are schools that existed in every village before colonialism happened to India. And every school, every village appointed the wise man of the village as a headmaster, and all the elders of the village would get together and decide what should the children learn in our schools. Okay? The curriculum should be to promote the environment, the ecology, the culture, the social structure, and the economy. So the curriculum had a direct relation to what the students were learning in the schools back then. But when colonialism happened, all of us know the story. After that, schools were hijacked for a different purpose altogether. And we still carry that burden, by the way. Even in 2024, we carry that white man's burden on our shoulders of industrialized models of education. So what is it that I am doing? I have to tell you, like how this young person inspired me by his example of ice. I would also like to say intention specificity, intention implementation. So I always look at what is my circle of influence, what is my circle of concern. I know education system, I can't change it. I'm not at a policy level. But there is something that I can change within the influence that I operate in, within my schools, with all the 7,000-8,000 students that I have. So what I looked at is, can I revamp the curriculum where the children learn how to be value-oriented? Can the children learn how to promote the sustainability, whether they're learning in science or the social studies? For me, social studies are all about sacred geography, because for ages now we have learned geography as a consumer. The consumerist approach to learning anything, like you have copper there, you iron there, dig it and use it, that's a consumerist approach. So can we reverse the thing and make it a sacred narrative that these are the resources we have? Can we make something out of these resources while focusing on the sustainability? So when I say, what can schools do to build an entrepreneurial environment? To be honest, from the time I came here, I only see an ecosystem of inspiration. But you go into any school, this is not what you will find. There's an ecosystem of examination there. And there is an ecosystem of burden there. Okay? How do you change the narrative? Changing the narrative is, I have to say this, until T-Hub and T-Work started in our city here, I used to always take the example of the Prime Minister of Singapore calls for a meeting every 2 to 3 years with school principals and university heads to tell them what is it that we are bringing into the country in the next 5 years, what courses can you customize so that the people who come out of the universities are ready for the changed scenario. And I used to wonder, when Telangana was born, I wrote a letter to the Chief Minister, by the way. Of course, people like us never get heard, so that was also not heard. But still, when T-Hub came, I thought, wow, the mountain has come to the Muhammad now. When T-Works came, the mountain has come to the Muhammad now. So we are able to give exposure to our students that beyond the templates of JEE and NEET, there is a life out there. There's a promise out there that young people who sat here and through the fireside chat gave me a promise that I probably have to work on a curriculum that teaches children perseverance, okay? Teaches children resilience, teaches children that even if you fail, you will be able to rise like a phoenix, like how they said, be shameless, go pursue. You will fail, but you still have to come up with a better idea. I think I need to add that also into the curriculum. Only then the narrative will change in our country. Only then there is a promise that I can show to my young people, because I work with different generation. It's a K-12 school. One thing I have to say, and I'll conclude on that. 2 of my students are sitting here. One of them is actually showcasing something here. She's working with an entrepreneurial. Tanisha, wave your hand. Okay. And one of them is a volunteer here. 10 of them are presenting their innovative ideas in the Junicons, thanks to Rumana, who's been mentoring them. But I think the time has come for everybody to talk more about startups, entrepreneurial ventures, so that we groom contributors to the society, not just consumers. And I'd like to end with that.
Thank you. In some ways, what you're also demonstrating is that educators themselves have become entrepreneurs. And coming out, within the system, we can either be bureaucrats and say my hands are tied, or we can be entrepreneurs within that system and say what more can I do. So thank you very much. Now we have 4 people, all 4, what I would call as ecosystem builders. And Ramakrishna has already built one in Gaudium School. MSR, of course, has been the key driver in T-Hub, so we'll ask him all this thing. But I'll let 4 of you talk about things outside the curriculum. What is it needed to support the curriculum? In the earlier session, we talked about money, mentors, etc. So what are those things, and how can we make those available across, for the moment, if we talk across the state, and then we can take it. If I can also, Jay, just add a little bit, wearing my TSIC hat. We as a state have now got approval and funding, most important, to start with, one school in at least each assembly district. So 119 schools and 200 colleges working with YHub, TSIC, T-Works, etc. to actually set up capability. But all of that is fine as infrastructure. In India, we tend to focus on infrastructure. What I want is, what is the intellectual infrastructure that is going to be required to support it? So over to 4.
Thank you, sir. Good evening. I'm actually sitting in the middle because 25 years of my experience has been on IT side, and now on my entrepreneurial journey. Venture is the school. I've joined a school which has been already established. For last 3.5 years, I've been speaking to a lot of my colleagues, and the first question that comes to me is, we don't understand this Gen Z. I heard this actually 10 years back when our organization wanted to train us, how do we actually manage Gen Z at workplace? Now this question is coming in from potential parents asking me, how do we kind of control the Gen Z? Because you've been managing a school with 4,000 students, I'm sure you have a lot of strategies to do that. Which is coming in from the parents, predominantly from the IT background or from services industry. And majority of them have been complaining about their, I would say, addiction to these digital devices or the smart devices. And we've been trained, probably, I have two young daughters, so we've been trained in earlier days in our career that how do we do the parenting, both to mom and dad. And nowadays, I don't think schools are actually doing that. Probably parents may not be interested as well. But I'm bringing this because it's again the social fabric that we have in India, wherein we always been saying that we are moving away from these combined families to the nucleus families and so on and so forth. Why am I bringing this is both I think Vamshi as well as Anil touched upon the innovation or about how do we stimulate these young minds is they actually learn by seeing. And when we do this, we look at all these software engineers, because I'm from that industry. I see all the parents all the while working on some laptop, and none of this is seen by the students. And again, they come and complain that, oh, I don't think, I can manage my children because they don't connect with me. Because what they are doing is not seen by them. If you take in earlier days, if someone is being a kind of a painter or whatever skill that you take, or even a doctor, people used to see that, oh, my dad is actually checking the patient, he's asking these questions. In a while, that student just like that picks up and will gain that knowledge. Where is this environment that is available now for the children to see and do it? I would say it's an opportunity now in the era of AI, wherein students can do a lot of independent research. Only that's required is just guiding them in the right path, how to kind of get into it. And the second thing that comes is, this is about the role model. People talked about it. But what is the solution for that is to kind of help the students to identify their interests and identify opportunities where they would be able to go and see those role models, what they would be doing. And the question that comes is entrepreneurs. It's all about bringing the entrepreneurship and ask the students to open up their questions. I'm not trying to talk about what we are trying to do, but we have done this a series of discussions or the guest lectures only bringing the entrepreneurship. Believe me, we have one of the professors from IIT Mumbai. After we've been doing this, he heard about it and he came in because he's been trying to kind of help us through his PhD students to mentor some of the ideas the students are coming up with. So the quality of questions these people have been asking or these students have been asking to these entrepreneurs is unbelievable. Some of them have said that actually these ideas did not stuck to us. And the response from these young students is, that's the power of Gen Z. If you understand them well, and if you use their power, and if they use their intelligence and knowledge, anything can be possible. I just want to end to say that I've seen the industry, and then I've been on college board where we were trying to make those students employable. And where the students are coming from to these engineering colleges, they're coming from schools. So we thought we would actually take a step back and see what type of environment is required or what type of skills that we need to kind of instill. They may not be something which is, these skills are very important to think independently. And as ma'am said, perseverance. There are a lot of life skills that gets kind of, that can be kind of fostered at the school level. Those are the things that we are trying to look at, which would actually help students to think more towards the entrepreneurship. Thank you.
I think, we have built an enormous support ecosystem. We all know that having ideas is only the beginning. Getting them to maybe TRL level 3, 4, at least proof of concept, what is it? But how do you really take them scale up? And what is really required for this to happen, not to 10 or 100, but to thousands? And I think to some extent, T-Hub was our attempt to do that. So if we now expand that and say, let's also include school children, what is it that we'll require?
Sure. So I'll first build on some points which I think Vamshi made and Anil made and all that. So I think so fundamentally, right? Maybe just to also add what Sita Garu said. So fundamentally, I think education should first instill in young people curiosity, critical thinking, creative thinking, collaboration and communication, right? So I'm going to start with a story about what we are doing, for example, in colleges. So we've started a program called Kickstart, currently running it at about 8 colleges. So what's happened now, I think ma'am referred to the NEP, right? And I think we have, I think, a large number of colleges here. So many of them to improve their rankings and not necessarily from any particularly altruistic consideration, have set up entrepreneurship development cells, incubation cells, with little or no idea about what can be done, right? So we started a program, we are currently running it at about 7 or 8 colleges, where what we are doing is typically what we did some, obviously some background research, etc. We said the time when you can work with students, particularly those in engineering, is between the second year first semester to the third year first, sometimes the third year second semester, right? Because first year for many of them is a whole new shift, moving from a college, from a school environment to college. And then of course the last year is either figuring out whether to go to the US or whatever, or get into a job, right? So this is the window we have. So what we have done is built something where we focus on trying to see if we can instill a entrepreneurial mindset. So it starts with an assessment, then we run some challenges, right? And we ask them to come up with some ideas. We also ask them to look at the environment around them and see if there are problems that can be solved, sort of thing. The proof point for us, end of it, is if at least 10 of them, typically in every college, come up with some kind of a viable prototype, sort of thing, and then that becomes a feeder to our bigger programs. Now, some things are good, but some things sometimes alarm me. So one question which I ask when I go to any of these colleges to kick off this, I ask them, for example, what are the UN SDG goals? Okay, and I kid you not, forget the 17 goals, and I'm not even asking for a number. Hard pressed to find more than 2 or 3 of them being able to answer what the SDG goals are, right? So sometimes it causes me to despair. What are we teaching these kids? I mean, I know obviously in IB schools, I'm sure it's different, but I'm talking of colleges here, and so that's one challenge. Now coming back, what I think needs to be done from a school level, I think is, and I have seen, I was also involved with a program run by an entity called Udayam. This is in Delhi, not for profit. Very successful program run there, and where essentially they worked in about 750 government schools. What they did is they roped in a bunch of entrepreneurs from the local ecosystem who used to go and talk to children, and they were also able to mobilize some capital, similar to, I think, the example which I think Anil gave, where each of the students was given about 1,000 rupees, right? And then they said, go out and build something, right? And the sense of joy, achievement, purpose, when that 1,000 becomes whatever it becomes, right, is astonishing, right? So I think what we need to do, in my view, and we are now trying to see how we can do this at the college level, we haven't yet gone down into the school level, is to figure out how we can create, throw challenges at young students to look at the environment around them and figure out how they can solve. And obviously it requires the entire ecosystem to come together. One last point I wanted to make, maybe some people in the audience may not be familiar with this, is all of us know about this 2% CSR, the 2% which you can spend of profits you can spend on CSR. A lot of that effort has been directed towards education, healthcare and so on. but about 18 months ago there was an amendment in the Companies Act where this funding can actually be used for technical incubation. Right? So to answer that point you made about STEM labs, etc. And that's something which we are actively pushing. So currently, for example, with 2 large corporates, we are now running a program using their CSR to run these incubation programs in colleges.
Thank you. So before I go to the last two, Shashank and Deepu, I just wanted to, something that I was itching, but I chose not to be. By the way, in way back in 2012, when, if you recollect, there was criticism that we are not producing engineers who are good for the industry, we started, from ISB, we had created a technology entrepreneurship program. And many of those, and Kaundinya of this thing is a product of that thing. So I think, at the college level, we have this thing, how do we take it?
So for example, one of our startups, company called Metamorphosis, which was subsequently acquired by Bright Champs, they were actually trying to see how they could do this in schools. But of course, the target audience for them was obviously the more affluent schools. But
Yeah, they are. So, the thing is, the reason I was bringing it up is that I think even at college level, there is a philosophical question that, and I didn't want to bring it up because we could only end up discussing. What are we trying to create? Are we trying to create unicorns, or are we trying to change mindsets of young people so that going forward they will be able to, because expecting school children to be able to create unicorns is probably not a right approach. What we are saying is you need an ability to think, you need an ability to identify problem, you need an ability to understand how to solve it, you need to know how to go about it. So I think we should also be reasonable in our expectations. All of us, or many of us here know Mirage. And what Mirage created in the old city of all places, working with 200 colleges and a large number of entrepreneurs from women in the minority community is an incredible thing. So we have something in the college and that career. The challenge for us, of course, is how do we take it?
Yeah, so I just want to add 2 points. One is regarding the infrastructure part, and then second one is what the students have to do, like as a key takeaway from this discussion. Okay, so infrastructure part, like we are spending a lot in building up buildings and a lot of spending on equipments and all those things. But what is missing here is human infrastructure. That is a volunteer-driven network that we have for ISF, for entrepreneurs. Similarly, we should have it for skilling, because we are living in a world which unprecedentedly change is happening, and next 2 years what these students are going to get exposed to has not been invented yet. And they will be working on problems that are not problems today. Okay. So what we have to prepare them is for that future, not the world that we have seen. Okay. And the potential that the students have is immense. Only thing that we have to do is to give them some time to prepare and have a mindset to work on solving the problems that they have seen, and have a right network to access. Like as he rightly said, they have to find the right interest group, whichever they belong to, and learn how to learn new things by themselves. And it is not a world of memory. We need more GPUs, more processing power. So our education system has built long before when that memory was so important. Okay. And the assembly line model was created for factories or industry to build clerks or somebody who takes a job and retire in that job. The shelf life of skills is shrinking, right? So what they have to learn is to learn anything by themselves and through peers, and have them access to a human network from their alumni network, from their peers, that is accessible for them to learn anything. And second one, we should help them learn how to fail, how to make mistakes. Because we had lived in a world where mistake was very hard to create, because it is very hard to solve. For example, we write with fountain pen, we are using a typewriter, we cannot delete it. But as of now, in the digital world, everything can be done. We click photographs, and it is very hard to have a wrong photograph, but right now, digital, they can just delete, edit, or anything that. So we have to understand the world that they belong to. And we have to prepare them for the future, and that nothing can be bundled in a syllabus and made it available in an assembly line model. Humans flourishes organically, right? Not a mechanical model. So we have to think like a farmer. The farmer work on the field, right? Have the environment there, have all the nutrients available there. Any seed that we put in, it will flourish organically. So that is something that we need to understand, and whatever system that we have in place, just ensure that in the ecosystem, a lot of people are doing duplicate things. Just bring everyone together, help them collaborate, avoid duplicates. And have industry, academia, government, as well as a lot of NGOs that are working here, enable them to do things better. And then having that collaborative ecosystem is something that we need to create and set up a human infrastructure that nourishes and nurture the next generation and accept them. They are much higher potential than any one of us. Just let them explore, let them fail, let them make mistakes, and find their interest group and take forward from there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So he just want me to explain what I have done in Kerala. So I represent the IT community in Kerala. I'm the founder of FIRE, as well as I represent around 280 plus IT companies in the state. Okay. So what happened there is like people, they made me the academy and technology focus group convener as the interface to the academia and to the government to work in policies and as well as on bridging the skill gap. So I just did not want to duplicate anything. So I just took a stock of everything that is available there. A lot of people are putting a lot of effort. So I just brought them together and asked them to work together in a collaborative manner. So I brought a unified ID for skilling, just like a UPI ID for payment. We have something called MIO ID and a unified currency that the companies accept as the currency for skilling called karma. Okay.
Very good.
So proof of work should be proof of skills. So I made all the companies to come forward and tell that we are not looking for marks, we are looking for karma points. Karma points can be acquired only by getting a proof of work. For example, if you want to learn web development, we do not accept certificates. You have to go to a tea shop, collect the requirement, build a website for them, publish it, make it live. And for any support, there is a volunteer network of around 35,000 people in Kerala that is available to help them out.
The end, on behalf of JA, I'm going to actually do a volunteering act. We need to document and come out with an action. This is the kind of action that all of us together can take in the next 3 months, 6 months on one or two issues. Because otherwise, we'll just end up talking and nothing will happen.
So I met JA in a very different scenario. So what happened was I went to him for some help, and while he was helping me, he starts blurting out Junicorn, right? So everybody sees what, you see the term. It basically stands for junior unicorns, and unicorns are very successful companies. So this actually starts, in my opinion, at home, right? I had a very good job. And then, when I was growing up in the 70s and 80s, right? Do you want to become an engineer, doctor, lawyer? These were the most common things that were spoken about. And, and when it came to a point where there was a discussion, what do you want your son to become, right? I said, and that gave me a thought, and then I went back to Ved, and I said, Ved, we have a huge population in India, right? Skilled, unskilled, that's a different, everybody else is under. So I said, hey, I want you to become an entrepreneur where you are providing employment to the masses we have in this country. And then a little later, that was when he was in middle school, I quit my job. I started my own company. At any given point in time, we have about 400 to 500 students who have actually graduated from college, going through training in embedded software and hardware. But again, coming back, I think, and that is to actually walk the talk, right? Start your own company, and it's very important for people who are parents. So I'm here talking as a parent. I'm not talking as an entrepreneur. I'm talking as a parent. Is there are risks in everything. There are risks in going home today, right? What is very important is to give the chance for success, right, to your children. And that's important. Education is important. Technology is important. But what is also important is where you at home give them that opportunity. Thank you.
To stay informed about the startup ecosystem, subscribe to My Startup TV.